Welcome to Two Luckies,
the podcast,
and our series Dyin,
Cryin,
and
Lyin.
This is a series of us talking about Little House on the Prairie and our take on it as adults.
It is very different as an adult.
Very different. And if you sum this all up, they can fall into one of three categories, either Dyin,
They're crying,
or they're
lying.
So sit back, relax, come take an adventure with us as we reminisce on Little House the Prairie, Dyin,
Cryin,
and
Lyin.
Lyin.
Season 1, Founders Day. We start off with Jack the dog looking pretty scraggly, honestly, and he's drinking out of that water that just looks like they put
drinking
concrete
out of the
and
creek.
painted it, and it's supposed to be the creek. And then we go inside and we immediately have a Carrie report. Yay! There
And
she
she
was.
actually had a line.
And she had a line right away because Mary and Laura are like kneeling next to her and they say, "You could say it, Carrie." And she says, "Founders Day," because that's the name of the episode and we already told you what it was. And now they're going on and on and on about this Founders Day over and over again, how great it's going to be and how they're going to enter in all the contests.
And they want to know what Pa's going to enter in. And he says, "Well, I think this year I'm just going to be a spectator."
Yes, he's going to be a spectator. And they were like, "That's no fun." So it was kind of a long sequence to get to that point. But we did have the Smirkaloo at breakfast.
Oh, Smirkaloo at breakfast. And Carrie had a second line at the
Carrie
table.
said, "Bye, Pa."
Bye, Pa.
Yes, and then she giggled. So
And
we
also have to call
Carrie.
out Pa, still in the same shirt.
He's in that shirt. He's working the shirt just like Ricky and the Trailer Park Boys.
Pa gets into town and gets right over to the mill where he's going to be working with a new man today because Mr. Edwards is in Minneapolis picking up machinery for him. And this new man is, well, he's kind of an old man.
Yes. And I think he was a little surprised, and this guy feels that Charles is a youngin' and he's not really kind of worth his time, and he's got stuff to learn from him.
Oh, yeah, this should be good. So this old guy that's riding with Chaz is talking his ear off, and it sounds like he's just trying to educate him more than anything else.
Without asking him what he knows first.
And he's sitting there telling him how the teeth have to be set a certain way and too much of this and too much of that. And then Chaz, he's just standing there. The smirk is gone. He is just looking pissed. And meanwhile, this guy asks him, "You okay, son?" "Why'd you ask that?" "Well, he ain't said hardly 2 words since we left." "Oh, I guess I'm just quiet." "We're going to have to call that lying. You're not quiet. You're pissed off because he's trying to educate you."
Right, he's making you feel like a kid. You don't like it. Well, Charles decides to disrespect his elders and says, "Do you know how to work hard?" "Hard's the only way I know how to work," the guy says. So he says, "Well, you got all day to prove it." So then they're sawing this log together with a 2-person saw, and they're pulling it back and forth, because the guy told us, you pull, you don't push.
Right.
And Charles seems on a mission to try to get this man to just drop out or quit or just give up because he keeps going faster and faster and faster and faster, and this guy actually keeps up with him.
Yeah,
but he looks like he's struggling because he seems very old for this level of activity, but I mean, he doesn't seem like his health is good enough for it at the age
Definitely a pissing contest, though.
Yes, definitely a pissing contest, and Charles did not have the Smirkaloo at all.
Charles and the old guy pull up the Hanson's mill. They got a bunch of logs in the back of the wagon. They said it went very well out there.
Which I call a mini Lyin, because really he did not have a good day.
No, did not have a good day.
No, it was not fine.
But their little pissing contest turned out into a full-blown verbal contest, because now the old guy is calling Chaz a farmer boy, and he would have done better if he actually had an axeman working
or somebody who knew what he was doing
cut,
with the cross saw or the
which
cross
leads
cut.
Hanson's to let him know that, there's going to be an axe chopping competition on Founders Day.
With a watch and a blue ribbon prize.
Blue ribbon. So next thing you know, old Chaz there, now all of a sudden he's going to get involved with it. So much for that spectator sport.
Yes, because they were deciding that they needed to prove who was the better one.
Chaz and the old man are walking home, and the little pissing contest is continuing on and on. And it's funny, but I'm going to have to call out a little bit of Lyin.
Because
Because Chaz is telling the guy, up, can't wait to get home and play with my youngins now. He ain't going home to play with his youngins.
no, he's going home to practice with that axe because he said now I got to get better with an axe. Founders Day's the day after tomorrow because they changed it from the cross saw, which I really think that Charles felt that he was strong in. And with Mr. Hanson talking to this new guy who's actually kind of old, it turned into an axe competition because that's a solo way to know who is the better person at logging. Oh yeah. So this old man is definitely giving Charles the business. This new guy, old guy, finds his way back to his front yard. And he practically drips with weariness once he realizes that Charles is past the point of being able to see him, and he's almost dragging the axe on the ground next to him. He kneels down heavily in front of the horse trough and puts water on his face and goes, so that entire time and pretty much the whole day he's been working with Charles, he has been a lion. Thank you, script writers. You gave us a Carrie report and you were lying all over the place.
He is whipped.
Woo! We're back at the little house. Carrie's in the high chair.
Yay, Carrie.
And she's sitting there watching. Mary is putting the dishes on the table. And Laura is practicing with the hoop for Founders Day because there's a hoop rolling competition. Ma is doing something with food for dinner. And they ask, is Dad is Pa the strongest man in the world? And she laughed. Boy, did she laugh. I mean, she really gave, that was a pretty big chuckle for, no, but he is strong. And in comes Chaz.
And they say, Pa, you got to help us practice for the three-legged race. And what does he say? Not today. I'm tired. So I'm going to call a big old fat lion. You just told the old guy that you were going home, couldn't wait to play with the kids, and here you are blowing them off. And then he walks by Ma, and she says, Chaz, are you okay? I'm fine, just a little tired.
And we're going to say
that's another lion. You are whipped. Your same shirt you wear forever is full of sweat, and now you're laying in bed because you just got to close your eyes. Where's the guy she just said, I don't know where he gets all his energy from?
Yes, and he took off his suspenders, like every muscle in his upper body hurt. So new guy, old guy definitely did something because he wore Charles out.
After Pa went to lie down, there's Ma. So how's the new man? And when there was no answer, she turns around and he is out cold on that bed. So what does she say?
She says the strongest man in the world is asleep. And her and Mary and Laura all go, hee. So, wow, she was really like hee over that. Okay, we got Ma over here putting some liniment on Chaz's back. He is laying in bed. It's nighttime, and he is recounting the entire day, and he used some very uncharitable words about his new coworker.
I think one of them was he's a big, giant windbag.
And that he could talk an arm off a statue or something like that. And as he was trying to tell her new things, that she was really not looking like she wanted to touch him. And he, I don't know, she was supposed to be like massaging his back, but it was just kind of awkward. I don't know why it was awkward. And then he's saying
how he's going to teach that guy a lesson he won't soon forget comes Founder Day. And Ma's over there going, well, you sound just like Laura, because all she talks about is beating the pants off of Nellie Oleson. And right away, Chaz, Caroline, you got to speak to her about that.
You got to do something about that.
And she's looking at him like, really?
There's more to life than the drive to win. There's more to life than, it's supposed to be just in the fact that you're competing, that you're supposed to be happy. And she's smirking over his shoulder because she realizes that this is some kind of, I think it's called cognitive dissonance, when you want other people to be doing something else than what you're already doing, and you don't recognize your own traits.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, he got that down.
So we're over at the old guy's house now, and it looks like the exact same scene that we just left with Chaz and Ma.
Well, but Ma warmed the liniment up on her hands. This woman just poured it straight out of the bottle and went, it's so cold.
It's like ice. Don't they make warm liniment?
And she said, not for an old coot like you, or whatever she said. And she was kneading him like dough. She was really in there.
She was in there, and you find out that they've been married for 40 years, and he's he was the strongest man once and could beat anybody. And then she'd say, you're such a fool taking on a man who's half your age.
Well, and he was known as the Bull of the Woods. So he, in his day, was formidable at doing logging.
So I'm going to call out, Chaz is getting ready to, get into shape and really put a whipping on somebody who's like twice his age. I'm going to call that maybe a little elder abuse.
I don't know. Well, I just don't understand why they got into this like growling, snarling, snapping thing with each other instead of being something a little more friendly. But the two of them have each other riled up, and the old guy over here is laying in bed, and while he's saying, I can beat him, he goes and nods off, and she smiles at him.
Mm-hmm. We're following Ma now, who just arrived in town, and she's outside the mercantile, which is all decked out for Founders Day. It's full of flags, red, white, and blue, and you can even see a little bit of red, white, and blue on the school and church building.
Yes, and there's kids playing out in the yard by the church school / building.
So she's in there, I guess, to sell eggs and talks to Mrs. Oleson, and then it looks like she's getting into kind of the same pissing match that, let's see, Chaz and the old guy are getting into, and Laura and Nellie. Want to know, I'm thinking about your children, and
well, Mrs. Olson's like, I was thinking about your children, and it's just unfortunate or something like. It was a very odd sequence. Unfortunate that they are the way they are, but some children are just better at sports. And Willie and Nellie have been gifted sports because I was very active as a child. And Mrs. Oleson was going on and on and on. You can see that Ma was getting madder and madder about it.
But we found out that Ma and Mrs. Oleson are both entered in the pie making contest.
Yes.
So that's what the pissing match is all about.
Yes, and they're going on and on about how Mrs. Olson's recipe was passed down from generation to generation to generation, just like everything else in their family, and Ma was really grouchy. We're back at the little house, and it's supposed to be nighttime, but it looks awfully bright outside, and they're eating pie. Carrie is nowhere to be found, but we have a
shirt report. Chaz,
hey!
he's in that Christmas shirt.
He's in that Christmas shirt that's either Mary or Ma's, and we're not sure whether they keep rotating them out of the laundry. And they're eating the pie, and then Ma starts asking the girls, meaning Laura and Mary, because we don't know where Carrie is, have you ever eaten anything at the pies and, at the Olsons? And they were like, sure, at birthday parties and stuff. Is there anything that was anything like different or that you really liked? And they were like, no. And Charles gets on about what's the sudden interest, and then he proclaims again, oh, it's only about competing and doing your best. It's not about winning, and I'm going to call it Lyin, because Ma's doing some Lyin. Laura's not really doing anything. She really wants to win, but the Ma and Pa are acting like it's no big deal, but they are gunning to win. They want to be the best. It's nighttime. Laura and Mary are upstairs with their bonnets on, trying to get some sleep, but Laura is just fidgeting because she's so excited about this contest tomorrow. She has a chance of beating Nellie Oleson, and she says, Pa's probably right that it's all about competing and not about winning, but I really want to beat Nellie Oleson. And so Mary concludes, yes, she wants to also.
Right.
But in this house with no walls, they're doing an awful lot of talking. And we go downstairs, and Ma and Pa are laying there staring at the ceiling.
And it's the same old conversation with them. Chaz, it may be wrong, but I really want to win that pie making contest. And
he
Chaz,
says he wants to win too.
He wants to win his, but don't tell the girls. So I'm going to call out some Lyin. Why can't you tell the girls unless you're doing something that you said you shouldn't be? Chaz is in the barn. It looks like it's Founders Day, and he's sharpening up his axe, and here comes Laura rolling a hoop, and they're having their conversation, and it really looks like they want to win this. Ma can't figure out which pie to take. And
Pa's
Chaz,
in his new shirt.
Yes, new shirt. All right. Now he's going to wear that one every day.
Well, and Laura is in her Sunday finest with her ribbons in her hair. And Ma can't decide what pie to bring, and Pa says bring both.
Right. Well, I can only enter one. Right. But we can eat the other one for lunch. Smirkaloo.
Smirkaloo. New guy, old guy's at his house, and he is sharpening his axe, and he's all ready. His wife tries to bring some liniment, but he says, no, no, no liniment, even though she was willing to hide around a corner to put it on him. And he was telling how big the chips were going to fly. And one more time, because he was bull of the woods for 38 years, so he must be retired for 2 years now, because they're married for 40. And he is just gunning to do this thing. He wants to win. And then as he leaves, he says, just one more time, I'm going to be bull of the woods. And they show his wife, and she is crying. We knew they didn't forget.
It's Founders Day.
Woo!
We're in front of the Olesons. We've got a crowd down there. We've got a horse race going on.
They come thundering by, and they all stop in different places. We don't even know where the finish line was.
But we have a winner of the horse race announced. I don't know who it was. It's somebody we'll never see again.
And we never saw before.
So now next up is the rope skipping competition, and they're all lined up and going around and round and round. And
at the same time, there's the pie contest.
The pie contest. Oh boy, we got Reverend Alden who's judging the pie contest, and he's checking them all out, and he's narrowed it down to 3. Mrs. Ingalls, Mrs. Oleson, and some old lady I've never seen before.
Yeah, we don't know her. So there's some older lady that we don't know.
So right away, we got some disappointment in those other 2 because the old lady wins the pie contest.
Yeah, I think Reverend Alden just didn't want to pick between Mrs. Ingalls and Mrs. Oleson. Right. And we were watching him say how delicious the pie was, as you could see him sweeping the pie with his tongue into his cheek. He was holding the pie in his cheek. Probably because if he tasted any more pie after that, he probably didn't eat pie for another 3 years after all that pie they had him eating. We go over to the rope jumping contest, and it is now down to Mary, who was pacing herself pretty well, and Willie, who was whipping that rope around.
Oh boy,
my gosh, it was like he was going to take off. I was really impressed he could do that for so long, to jump that quickly with a rope.
And the winner was
Willie! Because all of a sudden Mary falls down to the ground, and Pod runs over and says, "Are you okay? Are you?" And she was fine, but Willie was the one.
She looked like she just dropped down, like they were playing Ring Around the Rosie.
Yeah, I don't know what
you
exactly.
All fall down.
I mean, maybe she hurt her ankle. She came down on a rock or something like that. But Willie was victorious, and he gets the blue ribbon, which we noticed look really black with a red circle on the inside. I haven't figured that one out yet. But that's what's happening.
So we're with new guy, old guy, and his missus over there while he's sharpening up his axe. And I think she ends up calling him a stick in the mud because she wants him to get a little closer to view.
She wants him to participate in Founders Day, and he's so busy with his axe. And then she says she lost the pie contest, and then he was asking who won, and it was Mrs. Grandy or something. We don't really know who she is.
But then they get on to the hoop rolling contest, and that's the one that Laura wanted to beat, that Nellie Oleson. But I'm sorry to say, who was the victor in that one?
It was Nellie.
It was Nellie.
Nellie won. And really, well, afterwards, Laura tried to say that she bumped her hoop, which Nellie is known for doing this stuff. We know Nellie better than we would have at the end of this first season. We were surprised at how little they're actually in the first season,
right.
Nellie and Willie. But now we have, this is the score. Ma did not win, but neither did Mrs. Oleson.
Lost.
So both Ma's lost in the pie eating contest to somebody else. But both children, the Olesons won over the Ingalls.
Right.
So Ma, Pa, and the kids, we don't know where Carrie is. Maybe she's someplace else. I'm not really sure. Maybe they forgot about her. She was in the beginning of the episode. I remember seeing her.
Maybe she had the day off.
Yes, she had the rest of the day off. But now they're eating a picnic lunch, and they're sitting there, and they're talking about, like, poor Mary, she hurt her ankle when she was jumping rope. And she said, of all the people to lose to, Willie Oleson, who knew he even knew how to jump rope? And so, but Laura said, well, he's always jumping. I just never saw him use a rope before. And then we find out that the men's
tug of war is the next event. And they ask, Pa, are you going to be in it? I don't see why not, as he's flexing his muscles over there. And I'm going to have to call out again, Lyin! Because you said at home that you were just going to be a spectator this year. And obviously that is not true.
We go over to the Olesons, who are sitting on a table outside in front of their house, and the kids are all excited because they got their ribbons on. Mrs. Oleson, we already know she was not one of the winners in the pie contest. But now they're talking about this competition, and Willie says, well, you know, Mr. Ingles is going to be pulling the rope, and Nels wants no part of this because it is one of those kinds where you're pulling the rope across this like moat of water, like they dug out this big
muddy water.
I mean, muddy water. And they're going back and forth and they're doing this whole pulling the rope thing, but he got roped in because his wife said, don't you want the children to be proud of you?
She browbeat him into it.
She really, well, not really. She didn't have to say much, and he said, yes, dear. And then she took his coat, and he's wearing a suit.
Yep, so here comes the competition. They start. You got on one side of the moat, there's Nels tugging, and on the other side of the moat, there's Chaz right in front. And it looks like Chaz's team was about to pull it off. They were able to pull Nels into the muddy pit. But then, lo and behold, their team floundered. Nels' team yanked back, and Chaz did like a head flip and landed in the mud.
Like he flipped over into the mud.
So the contest was called, and the winner was Nels' team.
Yes, it was Nels' team, and Charles pins the ribbon on that's supposed to be a blue ribbon that looks black with the red circle.
Now it's muddy.
And now it's muddy onto Nels, and they are completely covered in mud. And I'm wondering if Charles is going to be clean for this axe throwing or axe chopping competition, or if he is going to be covered in mud because he is head to toe. Well, we find out what was going to happen to Charles. Somehow he was able to go in with all that mud into the Olesons and put on Nels' clothes because he said, thank you for lending me clothes, clean clothes. How he got himself clean and dry that quickly back then, they had no electricity, no hair dryers, is what I wanted. He was completely covered.
You also made a good point. How was it that Nels had clothes that fit Chaz?
They are very different sizes.
Very
I would say Nels has a totally different build than Charles does. But somehow he comes out in clothes that fit him just perfectly, and he's just dry, and their ma is looking at Mary's ankle, and Mary's ankle is looking like it's very swollen, and now Laura's very upset because she's not going to be able to be in the three-legged race.
Right, because the three-legged race is for... Who was it for?
What was
exactly?
For children and ladies.
So now they're all looking at Ma. Of course, he did say ladies.
And she's looking everywhere but at them.
She's doing everything she can to dodge this, but long and the short of it, she ends up agreeing she is going to be in the race. So we have the three-legged race, and now all of a sudden Nellie is going to be running with Mrs. Oleson because, well, Caroline's entering and going to run with Laura. Well, she can't do that. I don't see why not. And she tries the old Nels. Well,
it wouldn't be dignified or whatever.
Dear,
it wouldn't be proper, dear.
Don't you want the kids to be proud of you?
So he used her own tactics against her. Nels got her to go into the race, and Ma immediately did that regular thing where they run like 3 or 4 steps and then they fall down and they have to get back up. And this very disjointed way of getting across the finish line.
But who was the winner?
The winner was Ma and Laura. Woo! And Mrs. Oleson and Nellie get yelled at by Nels. You had a perfect chance to win.
What happened?
And then Laura sticks her tongue out at Nellie, and Nellie tries to huff away, but she's still tied to her mother's ankle, and she goes to walk off in one direction, and then Mrs. Oleson is now, they're both falling over, and they're laying in the grass, and now everybody in the Ingalls camp goes, well, it's a big event. They're chopping this wood and they're going at it, and Charles has his shoulders up by his ears. He's putting so much force into it, and they're all doing their best job, and there's quite a lot of people here now. I would say like there's 6 of them competing.
Looks like it.
And then they chop from one side, and then they step over the log, and they have to chop from the other side. And guess who wins?
New guy, old guy.
New guy, old guy, the bull of the woods. He's still got it. He's still chopping, and he has to spit on his whetstone and rub it meaningfully against the edge of his axe because they have a 15-minute break for the next heat.
Ooh, boy, and Chaz is not looking happy.
No, he looks shocked.
We're beginning Heat 2, and before we can even do that, we've got an updated Carrie report.
Yay! She's in the stands with her sisters, and she's cheering on Pa because now it's the second heat, and they are a-chopping.
They are a-chopping. They're going for it, and the winner of Heat 2...
with the smirkaloo
Smirkety
is
smirk.
Chaz.
Go, Chaz.
Oh, there he is. He's in his glory. He's got that smirkalooing, and everybody's going, yay! And the bull of the woods over there, the new guy, old guy, is very upset, and he's looking kind of tired, which this is a lot of work, but he goes over, and now there is going to be a chop-off between new guy, old guy, and the smirking Chaz. Well, Carrie's in the stand with her scissors. Yay, Carrie!
So we're getting ready for the final heat. Chaz dropped his sharpening stone or file and has to go over to looked like he went to the mill.
In the storeroom.
And who shows up while he's trying to sharpen his axe but the wife of...
new guy, old guy, bull of the woods.
And she's more or less standing there trying to get him to throw this because she's saying he's very tired. And
he just needs a memento.
Basically, she was asking him to stop his elder abuse, I think.
Well, I think she was trying to get him to let her husband win so that he had some kind of a memento so he could stop trying to prove himself every day, because there was a time where he was very virile, he was very young, and he always was able to work and never have an ache or a pain. And now he's feeling the effects of time, and she's asking Charles to kind of throw the competition.
She's asking him to throw the competition, and I must say he was very dismissive of the whole thing. But after she walks away, he just turns around and has that 1,000-yard stare that he tends to get at times, like, huh?
Well, he just stayed silent, and she was like, "Well, thank you for listening," and then she left.
So we'll see how this turns out.
Yes, it was a very little strange thing. And we see the crowd because they're getting ready to show us stuff, and everybody's clapping and happy and smiling.
So we've begun Heat 3. It's Chaz and new guy, old guy, and they're swinging away.
They're going for it.
And then we get a shot of new guy, old guy's wife, and we had our next...
Cryin. They remembered us.
With the tears streaming.
Well, she's watching him. He's doing his best, and then he's chopping, and she's over there wringing her hands and crying, hoping that he's gonna win.
But they go for it, and then we finally have a winner. And who was it?
It was new guy, old guy, bull of the woods. He won, and then they were like, "Yay!" And he's surrounded by everybody. And for some reason, his wife doesn't go to him, and Charles goes over there and touches her on the cheek, which I thought was a very odd way to
little odd.
It was a little odd.
But while Chaz is standing with the family, Laura keeps staring at the axe he's holding, and she follows him over to the wagon and asks him, "Pa, you switched axes.
You used the borrowed one the whole time, and then you used your old one for the last one."
Right, so that means that we have to call out Lyin. Did the old guy really win, or did Chaz throw the match?
Well, the thing is, he was saying to Laura that he was trying to make it fair because, he's tired because the guy's older, and he was trying to make it a more fair thing because he's so much younger. But we just really see is that you're kind of throwing it here. We already knew it. And she says, "I suppose." Yeah. So we know Laura's got her sniff, and she sniffs out those lies, and she knew he was technically Lyin. So they knew it. They had to do it.
So after Pa really tries to explain why he threw the match to Laura, and it seems like she gets it, and that kind of wrapped up the episode, because then they show them driving away in the horse and buggy. The whole time while this band's walking around playing what looked like a little cornet, a bass drum, maybe a trombone, and...
they were supposedly playing all day, but if you really were watching, you could tell they were not playing the same tune.
They were faking.
Whatever they were faking was not the same thing that we were listening to.
Either way, but yeah, that episode actually wrapped up season 1.
That wrapped up season 1, and surprisingly, I may have seen this one before, but it wasn't the one that I thought we were going to see because they've done more than one Founders Day. So I think I thought it was going to be a different one.
So now that we've seen all of season 1, we can definitely confirm that we had at least 2 out of 3 categories of Dyin, Cryin, or Lyin.
The entire time.
All the way through.
They were Dyin, Cryin, and Lyin all over the place, and we appreciated it, and we're ready for more Dyin, Cryin, and Lyin in season 2.
So make sure you join us before we hit season 2, as we have the season 1 recap coming up next.
Yes, we're going to do a little recap of the whole season. We thought it would be fun.
All right. And that concludes this episode of Two Lockies.
Two Lockies, the podcast.
And our series, Dyin,
Cryin,
and Lyin.
We release these in threes, so if you enjoyed it, there's more. Go check it out.
Go check them out. We'll see you next time.
We're out.
See ya.
Two Lockies, the podcast.
Two Lockies Podcast.
Two Lockies, the podcast.
You made it to the fun fact section.
You made it.
Woohoo!
Woo!
And today's fun fact, this was our first episode in our new podcasting chairs.
And they are comfortable, so
Very
finally.
comfortable.
Less squeaking, less jostling, and more comfortable.
We appreciate you sticking with us.
We're glad you stayed.